Well, I'm back up at the cabin for a couple days. This trip I brought up my sailing rig for my canoe. I don't know if I'll get it on the water this week because it's supposed to rain a few days. And I have to make a modification to the mast step. So I'll work on that. I also like to clean out my chimney stovepipe for the wood stove and hook up my electrical switch box for the lights and the pump. These are the spars for my canoe. The piece on the right is the mast. The middle piece is the top spar, and the piece on the left is the bottom spar, or the boom. That C-shaped hook on the spar on the left, that slips around the mast and allows the sail to pivot back and forth. You'll see better how this works out when I show you the boat being rigged. These are some of the other pieces for the sailing rig for the canoe. On the right there, that's my leeboard. And this piece here is my leeboard thwart. And the leeboard attaches to that end. So I bolt this thwart onto the boat. Once I get it in the water, with all this stuff on it, it gets heavy. So I just put it on when I'm ready to sail. This piece here is the top thwart that the mast goes through. And then this is the bottom, the mast step that the bottom of the mast goes into. So this is the piece here that I have to replace. I think what I'm going to do is I'll use one piece of 1/2-inch plywood for the top piece, and I'll have two bottom pieces here and here, so I can leave that groove open, so I don't have to cut a groove. Basically, I just cut the pieces of plywood, and then I just have to drill a hole down through the plywood for the mast to settle down on. So for right now, I'm going to take these down in the basement along with the spars, just to keep them out of the weather. So I tried an experiment the last time I was up here. I was spreading wood chips. These are basically composted wood chips. They've been sitting here for a year and a half now. So I spread the wood chips, and then the experiment was to spread grass seed on top of them and rake it in. And once you know, grass has come up really nice in 2 weeks' time. So basically I'd like to get this whole hillside covered with grass to control erosion and just have a little greenery. So I think this was a successful experiment. Next thing I have to figure out is if I can cut it with a lawnmower or whether the wood chips are going to get in the way. I picked up this push mower in one of the box stores. Figured I'd give it a try. So I'm putting it together now, and obviously I've got the handles going in the wrong direction. Never fails. So let me correct that and finish assembling this. Well, there it is. I just cut this little section of weeds here. I don't want to call it a lawn. And it worked really well. If things are really tall, like a foot tall, like some weeds, then it just like knocks them over. It doesn't necessarily cut them all. But I just go back a couple times from a different angle and usually takes them down. But I set it at the highest elevation of the cutters. There's like 2.5 inches, I think. And it didn't catch up on any rocks, which was the main thing I was worried about. So I think this will be a good addition, particularly when I start a real lawn up here. So the next job is to take out the stovepipe and clean it out. So this comes in sections, so it's relatively easy to get out. So the way this works is this piece of pipe here will slip over this top piece. So that gives me about a foot of room. I slide this up. And then when I do that, you can see, well, let me get a better angle here. You can see the clearance here between the pipes. I can actually get more clearance if I want by pushing that top piece up. So all I have to do now is align them together and then pull the top piece down so that this 1-inch section slides inside this to form the seal and support. So that was not as difficult as I expected. So I went to the box store today. I got 5 rolls of R19 insulation to put under the main floor down in the cellar. So I'm unloading this now from the car. And now down the cellar hole. I'm down in the basement. Got my insulation down here, and I'm going to start the process of insulating under the main floor, try and keep the place a little bit warmer in the winter time. So I'm going to start with these bays here first and then work my way down. It'll get harder on that end because I've got all the wood down there stacked up. So when I get to that, I'll just move it.
This is what I look like in my insulation gear. Got my filter here, glasses, hat to keep the pieces of fiberglass out of my hair, long sleeve shirt. So far so good, no itchies.
Now this is the insulation I got up this afternoon. This will eventually be a trap door for stairs coming down. So that's not framed properly, so I have some pieces of 2-inch rigid foam board I'll put over that for the time being, because it's going to be years before I build those stairs. There's still more back here I can do before I have to start moving those tongue and groove pine around. These are my switches for 12-volt lighting and appliances. What I have to do today is to mount the switch plate in the top of the box. They supplied me with some screws, so I think those will work. And then this box I have to mount my negative ground bus in there. They supplied me some screws with this too, so that should work. And then I've got this new step drill, which I've never used before, so I'm going to use that to cut some holes in the side of the box, top and bottom, so that I can run my wires in there. I used my router to cut this hole out of the plastic cover. It worked pretty well. This is a rough idea of what it's going to look like when I mount it against the wall stud. And the door's right there, so I can just come in and turn on the lights. I mean, there's a lot of discussion if you're using 12-volt lighting, 12-volt appliances, that you really should use DC switches instead of regular AC house switches, which I've read will burn out after a while if they're used for DC. So that's why I'm going with these DC switches, which are basically made for marine use. Well, Murphy's Law is biting me again. So this DC switch, gang switch I guess you call it, came with these quick disconnect ends. Well, here's one. And I couldn't get them off for the life of me, so here's the one that I got off. So I literally had to put a screwdriver in here and pry those ends apart so I could get it off. They just wouldn't pull off. So I got that one off, and now I got to do the same thing for that one, because I have new quick disconnects, which I plan to use anyway, and they do fit. So just got to get this other one off, and then I can move forward with my wiring project. That works well. Nice clean hole. Here's my wiring so far. I've got the lights and the pump hooked up. And I've got everything marked, either red or black, for the DC 12 volt. So now we'll put the cover on and see if it works. Alright, we're connected to the battery. Let's give this a try. Lights came on. Lights off. Lights on. This is the water pump, so when I turn it on, you should hear the water start running in the sink. Yep. So it works. We're all set. So need these. So I've got lights for the lofts, lights for the cellar, a switch for a ceiling fan, and then one extra. Those other ones still have to get hooked up. I'm going to use these ring connectors and the wires that go to the ground bus because it's much easier and more secure to hook those wires up that way. So, this has been a long time coming. Now, I have to hook up the wires to the external batteries. Right now we're working off this marine battery. So, hook up to the batteries outside next. Well, that's going to do it for this trip. Got a lot accomplished. Got the stovepipe cleaned out. Got the wiring and switches hooked up for the DC system. And I got to start on the insulation in the basement. So, all in all, a good trip despite the rainy weather. So, if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Be careful out there.